Hi, I'm Bill Mikens from RedCloud. In this brief tutorial, we're going to teach you how to do the initial setup and configuration of a RedCloud appliance. While I'm not showing the enterprise appliance, their setup and configuration is exactly the same. Let's get started. Now that you've unpacked your RedCloud appliance, you're going to need the following items: a laptop with an active network jack, a crossover cable, the associated power supply that came with the appliance, and the appliance. Once you've unpacked the appliance from the box, you're going to take the power supply, plug it into an active outlet, and then plug the other end into the DC port on the back of the appliance. Next, you'll take the crossover cable, plug it into port 2 on the RedCloud appliance. And lastly, you'll plug in the other end of the crossover cable to the active port on the laptop. It's also important to note that the laptop should be set for either DHCP configuration or a static IP address in the range of 169.254.1, and the last 3 octets can be any number between 1 and 249. Your subnet mask will be 255, 255, 255.0. And as indicated in this video, you can see that all RedCloud appliances ship with the following addresses on port 1 and 2. Port 1 will be 192.168.1.201, and port 2 will be 169.254.1.250. Now that we've finished setting up our RedCloud appliance, we're going to take a look at going into the software and setting it up. But before we jump right into that, let's go over a couple of items. Item number 1 is that when you log into the appliance for the first time, it's likely that you're going to see a certificate error or a warning message that the certificate can't be validated, so it's cautionary whether or not you should go to that web page. It's okay to ignore that and move on. I'm going to give you a couple of examples. If you're using Firefox, one of the things you'll see is a message that comes up that looks like this. You can say, I understand the risks, add the exception, confirm it, and it'll take you to the login screen. If you're using Safari, you might see something that looks more like this, asking you, hey, we can't identify this. You can hit continue. It'll take you on to the web page. So for today, I'm going to be using Google Chrome for mine. And in this case, this is what it would look like under Google Chrome. You're going to get this security message. I'm going to say go ahead and proceed anyway. Now, another thing to point out that's kind of important is that as you connect up to the appliance, it's not that you can't just simply put in the IP address and have it resolve the rest of the information for you. You're actually going to need to type in HTTP, and it's critically important that you put the S in there so that it can resolve the secure connection effectively. So without the S, you might get another error message that just says you can't find that website if you just type the IP address in. In my case, I've already set the IP address on this particular appliance to address 205, but in your case it'll be HTTPS 192.168.1.201 if you're connected to port 1, and if you're connected to port 2, it's going to be HTTPS://169.254.1.250, and that'll take you to the login screen. So let's go ahead and get started. Again, this is the initial setup and configuration of the appliance. So all I'm going to do is use the default login of admin and the default password of admin, and then I'm going to go ahead and click on login. Now there is one very critical step that you must do in the very beginning after this initial login. Before you even start configuring the appliance, the first thing you're going to do is click on identities. And you're going to add yourself as a user to the system. So you're going to do this by clicking the plus sign or the add button. I'm going to go ahead and put my last name in there. Put my first name in. And I'm going to give myself a login by going down to the login section. And a password. And I'm going to confirm my password. And then I'm going to set my inactivity timer to indefinite. I'm going to click the save button in the lower corner. And then my next step is to give myself super administrative rights, the same rights that the admin login has. Once I've done that, I'm going to navigate to the top of the screen and I'm going to click on the logout. One thing you don't want to do is you don't want to use that admin account for your system setup, configuration, and adding panels and so forth. This can have adverse effects on the system in the long run. Pages will lag as far as load time and so forth. There's a number of things that it's for. That admin account is really only to be utilized for the initial connection and login. So now I've created my login and I'm going to go ahead and log in using my own login. I'm going to go back up to identities. I'm going to click on the letter A. I'm then going to click on the system administrator account. And I'm going to go down to the password section and I am going to change that password so that I know that someone can't remotely get in using the default logins and passwords. And I'm going to go ahead again and click the save button in the lower corner to save that. Okay, so now we're all done with that portion of it. We've changed the admin, the default login. We've added ourselves to the system. We're currently logged in as ourselves, and we're going to go to the appliance section now and finish up the initial configuration. If you're happy with the name and the host name of your appliance, no need to change it. If you want to change it, you can. Any changes that you make to the host name, for example, anytime I click away from that, I'm going to get a warning message. That warning message is going to say, by hitting save, we're going to automatically reboot the appliance and have it come back up under the new name. Well, I'm not going to go ahead and do that, so I'm just going to navigate away. But your first step once you go to the appliance section is to go straight down to the About section. In the middle of the page, you're going to see View End User License Agreement Terms and Conditions. And above that, you'll notice that the End User License Agreement is not yet accepted and that the license is not yet licensed to anybody. So I'm going to click on the View End User License Agreement. At this point, you would read through and confirm that you agree to the terms and conditions. And you do so by scrolling down to the bottom, putting in your company name, putting in a name, whether that's the customer's name or your name. Title's optional, you don't necessarily have to do that, and you hit the accept. If you fail to do this step or you forget to do this step, system configuration will allow you to continue to add things to the system, but you're going to be mystified why things aren't coming online, why isn't it saving certain configurations, and that is because you haven't actually accepted your end user license agreement terms and conditions. So it's a real simple fix. You just go back here and go ahead and save it. So I'm going to go back, and now you can see just above that it says my end user license agreement status is set to true and the product is licensed to RedCloud. My next step is now to go up to the access icon off to the left side, and I'm going to turn on the ability to use Mercury Access Control Field Hardware Panels. I'm going to put a check mark in that box, and I'm going to hit the Save button. Once that's completed, I'm going to go to the ports section. I'm going to click on port 1 because I want to change my port 1 address to address 205. My subnet mask and my gateway are going to stay the same. I'm going to mark that installed, and I'm going to go ahead and save it. This is where you would actually enter the data, the IP address that the customer has given you for the appliance. And you'll notice once I save that, you get the message up above that says the port was successfully updated, and reboot the appliance to implement the changes. So I want to go ahead and reboot that appliance. I'm going to click on appliance off to the left. There's a nice little button here that says reboot appliance. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. It's going to ask me to confirm. I say OK, and then I'm going to get a message that says the reboot command was sent. Once the appliance boots back up, you're going to log back into it, and at that point you're finished with your initial setup and configuration. Now it's time to go ahead and add panels and add doors and do your settings and configurations for holidays and time zones and things like that. That's how easy it is to set up a RedCloud appliance.